Danny Reagan saving Aaron Reagan, saying "Don't hurt my family" in season 4 was, I think, one of the coolest moments for Danny Reagan. Scary, dangerous, intense, all that you would expect in a situation like that. But for me, I think what really made it special is how much that moment really resonated with the audience. That they loved that the Reagans had a plan for a circumstance like that, and they loved that, getting a chance to see it play out. And I thought it was one of the real highlight moments for, certainly for the show and for Danny over the years. The storyline of Thomas Wilder in Blue Bloods was a pretty intense journey for Danny Reagan and for me personally. The subject matter was pretty heavy, and while the gentleman playing Thomas Wilder was actually a really good guy, he played one heck of a bad guy, and it was a storyline that needed time to be resolved, but I couldn't get it over quick enough because it was heavy stuff, and he was just a little too bad of a bad guy for me. So I'm glad we got to remove him from the show. In terms of his demise, you know, as Danny Reagan, it was never my goal to be, you know, doing a lot of crazy shootouts and stuff like that. And Danny having to defend himself about what happened with him and Wilder. I think it's the one time, I think, in a cop's life, I think they would hope that they would never ever have to use their gun. I think most people enter law enforcement that way, and you know, I kind of had the same hopes for Danny. And if there was ever one time where it seemed justified, ironically, it was the one time where he got in trouble for it. But Thomas Wilder was really that bad of a guy. So, and I think Danny was prepared for whatever was going to come his way after that. Fortunately, it all worked out, and he was justified. Well, certainly the biggest moment ever for Danny was losing Linda. Yeah, that's still a tough one. In the episodes that followed, I learned that it wasn't just Danny that lost Linda. Like, Donnie lost Amy. She was such a great scene partner. And, you know, these scenes where we would be rushing the kids out to school or to practice or whatever it was, you know, she did so many little things as her character that she really was my other half in the show. When it was time to usher the boys off to school or whatever, like, I had to get the lunch by myself. I had to, you know, help them with their jackets, help them with their stuff. It was like she did so many little things. Amy did so many little things that go unnoticed and unappreciated, I think, by the audience. But if you have kids, if you're a mom or a dad who really, you know, has a wife who you know is that solid, and a mom who's that solid, you see it. It's so subtle, but it's so important, you know. And when she was gone, I noticed it. I noticed her loss in more ways than I ever imagined. You know, I thought, you know, it would be a difficult journey for Danny as a character, and it would be, you know, I personally would miss my friend. You know, I loved working with Amy, but I missed so many little things that she brought to the show in ways that I never anticipated. So I just, yeah, it was a loss. The Danny and Delgado story was tough because Lou Diamond Phillips and I had to really be butting heads a lot, but it was hard. It was like hard to butt heads with Lou because I love him. We had such a good time together. We bonded instantly, and you know, I think him and I got along so well that the writers inevitably had to move us toward some form of a friendship and a mutual respect. I think that was one of those times where art imitated life. You know, they would cut on the scenes, and Lou and I had such a bond that the writers just, they couldn't ignore it, and we fought for it. I think Lou was originally, his character was originally supposed to not make it through one episode, and in the middle of filming, I asked the writers if they could keep Lou alive and let him come back, and they saw the chemistry and agreed that he should come back. And it's eventually, you know, it was be hard for them to ever become truly friends, but I think they became as much, or developed as much of a friendship as is possible in that circumstance because of me and Lou's mutual respect. When Danny was protecting Baez and her daughter from the serial killer, a couple of things happened. First of all, she really protected herself. She didn't need Danny's help. She had it under control, and she actually went full Danny mode in that story. And, you know, they kind of reversed roles. Danny suddenly was telling her to think things through and not fly off the handle, and she was willing to do whatever it took to protect her family. And it also ended with a nice Danny staying over for dinner. And I think it was a real leap forward in their relationship. And I think for a lot of viewers, it was the moment that they started to see, yeah, these two should maybe be a couple. I think that's what the audience thought after that episode.